Shocking and unexpected news just dropped for a major WrestleMania program, so we'll see what that's about. We'll also check out what's happening with Alexa, Charlotte, and more. Starting things off with the most devastating and shocking news coming out of the weekend, and that was the loss of Bron Breakker due to injury. It's been reported that Bron Breakker had immediate surgery for a hernia injury. The injury allegedly occurred during the opening segment of the February 2nd edition of Raw. During this segment, it was all about Bron Breakker throwing a fit and being enraged that he was screwed over at the Royal Rumble. And it was at this moment where Bron Breakker flipped over the commentary table, and that's the spot that the injury took place, according to all these reports. The force that Bron Breakker had to use from his body to flip over the table directly caused the hernia, and it was being reported that only 2 days later, on the 4th, it was ultimately decided that he could not work through it and needed immediate surgery. The average hernia surgery recovery timeframe usually hangs around 4 to 6 weeks, making it seem like there's still a chance for him to be ready in time for WrestleMania 42. But it was noted that this was an extremely serious hernia, so that's really making fans have immediate doubts about his WrestleMania 42 status. The news is absolutely gut-wrenching and awful for Bron Breakker. Obviously, he is the focus of the Vision. Sure, they have other great members, but it's not hard to tell that the entire group revolves around him. So with him now being out of the picture for the majority of the road to WrestleMania, that's awful for him and awful for the Vision as a whole. Prior to the injury, the Vision had a clear story en route. Bron and the Vision were trying to crack the case about who was the masked man that did perform that attack at the Royal Rumble. That story was going to continue to unfold, and it was highly rumored that it would end with Seth Rollins being revealed as the masked man, leading towards Bron versus Seth WrestleMania 42 match. But with Bron Breakker now being on the shelf, you got to assume that all those plans will be altered in a major way. The Vision is going to need a whole new direction, and they're going to need someone to try to step up in Bron's absence. It's the same mentality you see in all other sports. If the star quarterback goes down, it's the next man up type of mentality. The backups have to go in there and try to carry the team to victory. Same exact idea here for the Vision. They lose their star quarterback, but who in this team is going to step up and try to lead the group to promised land? You got a lot of great choices there with Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory. It also makes you wonder how Bron Breakker's injury will affect the story with the masked man and the Seth Rollins reveal. Will that entire story be put on hold now that Bron Breakker's out of action, or will they continue to move forward with the masked man storyline? It probably makes the most sense for the masked man not to let up and keep coming after the Vision. The masked man wants to see the Vision crash and burn, so with Bron out of action, you got to assume that the masked man won't take his foot off the gas. He'll probably come after the group even harder now and try to pick them off one by one. And if they do move forward with the masked man storyline and Seth's in-ring return at WrestleMania 42, who would take Bron's spot? You got to assume that somebody from the Vision will take that spot to face Seth. You could have Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins. That's a pretty interesting matchup there as well. Remember, prior to Bronson Reed being recruited by Seth and the Vision, he did have brutal history with Seth Rollins and attacked him plenty of times in the past. So there is some history to play off there. And you also can't forget Bronson Reed did pick up a pinfall victory over Roman Reigns last fall. WWE never really kept that momentum going for Bronson Reed coming off that win. But bringing that fact up again could be a great way to make Bronson Reed seem like a massive threat to Seth Rollins in a singles match. Then you got the possibility of Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins. But what makes this match seem unlikely is the fact that Logan and Seth just had a singles match against each other back at WrestleMania 39 a few years ago. So not exactly a super fresh matchup there. Then you have Austin Theory versus Seth Rollins. That's another interesting possibility. That could be a great match, and could also contain a lot of great storytelling considering their history with each other. During Austin Theory's early days on the main roster in 2020, he was recruited into Seth's faction. Seth saw the talent in him, but Austin Theory never really went anywhere within that group with Seth Rollins. So maybe now, 6 years later, Austin Theory never forgot about that. Maybe Austin Theory can argue that he felt abandoned by Seth, how Seth gave up on him back then. And now, Austin Theory has a chip on his shoulder to try and prove to Seth that he made a mistake by abandoning him all those years ago. So that would be a pretty decent backup plan coming off this injury to Bron Breakker. This situation also seems like it'll force WWE to start to use and highly feature other members in the Vision now. This was a long-time fan criticism of the Vision, that it felt like the group consisted of Bron Breakker and his henchmen. We never really got to see much personality from the other members, since the focus and attention was always on Bron Breakker. So with Bron temporarily out of the picture, now there really isn't any other choice but to feature other members of the Vision in a much bigger way than before. So now we'll probably get to see and hear more from Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, and Austin Theory. It's very unfortunate to lose Bron Breakker, especially during the road to WrestleMania, and surely we're about to see some major pivoting done within the storyline right here, since those original plans appear to be off the table. The February 6th edition of Smackdown featured some big missing superstars that fans are talking about, and that's the absence of Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Alexa and Charlotte had their massive moment at the Royal Rumble that featured Charlotte accidentally eliminating Alexa from the match. A lot of fans were very excited to see how that big moment was followed up on the Smackdown right after the Royal Rumble, but to everyone's surprise, there was no follow-up at all. Alexa and Charlotte were shockingly both not a part of the episode of Smackdown. There was no mention of them, no explained reason for their absence, just nothing at all. Fans were surprised by that because they were just coming off that big moment at the Royal Rumble. So a lot of fans were stunned that they didn't capitalize on that big moment. Charlotte did not appear to even be backstage at SmackDown for the February 6th edition of the show. SmackDown was in North Carolina, and Charlotte was posting pictures from the event in San Francisco. So maybe that's the reason for Charlotte and Alexa's absence. Maybe Charlotte did have prior obligations. Now our attention turns to the February 13th edition of SmackDown. Hopefully this is a show where we see some more solid continuation to Alexa and Charlotte's story. Because if they miss 2 weeks in a row, that will be even more concerning. So hopefully it was just a 1 week absence and we see them make a return to the upcoming edition of SmackDown. It is the road to WrestleMania after all, so it would be nice to see them continue that story in a big way on SmackDown. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.